Hi guys, welcome to Airtime Studios, and today I'm going to be talking about John Wardley, the legendary roller coaster creator. So, John Wardley is a legendary roller coaster designer, like I just mentioned, who helped form the theme park industry. Honestly, check out interviews and stuff about him. They'll just be amazing. You'll be so fascinated. But I'm going to give you a history of the rides he's done and his career. So let's start off. He started off his career creating special effects for the James Bond films, if you didn't know that. He was quite disappointed that his hard work had to end up on a 2D screen and wished it could be something people could see in real life. After this, he thought that this must be what theme parks are all about, and this is when his theme park career began. John's career began at a small place named Chessington Zoo, and he helped improve it over the years into what we know now, where we call it Chessington World of Adventures. At Chessington, John designed his first roller coaster, the Runaway Train, now known as the Scorpion Express. John Wardley made his first big attraction at Chessington, named the Vampire. Chessington came across a new type of ride under the name of a suspended roller coaster. Suspended roller coasters, if you didn't know already, Airtime Studios, are roller coasters that sit under the track instead of a traditional roller coaster. So yes, suspended roller coasters sit under the track, and that's certainly a very interesting experience where you sit under the track, not on top of it. And this wouldn't be the only time he made a very similar roller coaster. The manufacturer of the ride was to be Aerodynamics, and they would have a gothic theme. Elements of the theming included a graveyard in the queue and a massive organ being played by a vampire in the station. This would lead to an ongoing relationship between John and the Tussauds Group, who owned Chessington Zoo at the time. In 1990, the Tussauds Group purchased a theme park called Alton Towers. I don't know if any of you have heard about Alton Towers. I'm sure you might have if you know about theme parks, but Alton Towers may be a mystery place that you didn't know about. Mystery? Who knows? And guess who helped shape the future of Alton Towers? How about you think for 5 seconds? You guessed it, John Wardley. In 1992, John developed 2 new rides for Alton Towers. Hooray! His first 2 rides at Alton Towers, he made the Haunted House an indoor dark ride with a haunted theme that now has blasters on it, or should I say the property's repossessed now for refurbishment, and the Runaway Mine Train, which is a Mack powered coaster made by Mack Rides, as you could hear it in the name. However, these were only minor investments leading up to the next big thing. Something big was coming. Something massive! Alton Towers wanted an exciting roller coaster, but was restricted due to the imposed tree line height restriction. They settled on a pipeline roller coaster, but the layout was only possible to go a short distance, which would be quite boring and people would not like that, so a revised layout was made. However, John wrote the prototype of the pipeline roller coaster and designed it as slow and boring. This led to Alton Towers wanting something new. And if you listened to the vampire bit earlier, did I say something very similar? So, Alton Towers chose a new ride called the Inverted Roller Coaster, manufactured by a company called Bolliger & Maillard. This was the same concept as the suspended coaster on Vampire, sitting under the track, but could also go upside down. They named the ride Nemesis. As you know from my recent videos, you know what's been going on with Nemesis. But yeah, see my recent videos to see what is going on with Nemesis. But anyway, we're talking about when Nemesis opened at the moment. So, Alton Towers resolved the tree line height restriction by digging into a pit. Nemesis was followed closely after, with John Wardley creating Dragon Khan, a sit-down roller coaster at Portaventura World in Spain. Then he made his first wooden coaster, and he was hoping to make a wooden coaster for ages at this point, named Megaphobia at Oakwood Theme Park in Wales. This was meant to be a test wooden coaster, of course it's still standing for operation, to test a new wooden coaster at Alton Towers. Alton Towers came up with many concepts over the year that John created, but none of them were ever accepted really, until something I'll talk about later. And followed after that was another new ride at Alton Towers. Oblivion, the world's first vertical drop roller coaster.
Don't look down.
But the biggest challenge so far for John Wardley was Air, now known as Galactica. Now, Alton Towers wanted to make something different, just like Oblivion, as a world's first, as they use these world's first as great marketing property. So they made Air, which is the world's first flying roller coaster. To create the sensation of flying, the trains would tilt 45 degrees on top of the track, or shall I say under the track. So it basically clips onto the track, like you can see in the clip here. And then it leaves off riders dangling from their restraints right there. So yes, flying was definitely an expensive sensation to create, which is why you won't find much theming on the ride today, as it was a budget issue with... If you've watched his Q&A for the theming, John Wardley's Q&A that you should check out from Attraction Source, that was very good for Towers Time's 20th anniversary. So next up, he made multiple new rides at Thorpe Park, creating the layout for loads of them, including Soar the Ride and Nemesis' sister, Nemesis Inferno. This wasn't as popular as Nemesis because it uses the name, and it's not as good as Nemesis, so it makes it even worse that it uses that name. It's still not a bad roller coaster, it's still in my top 20 as a matter of fact, and I've rode 76 roller coasters, so that's definitely not a bad roller coaster. Then, in 2010, following the removal of the corkscrew from Alton Towers, Alton Towers wanted to make another world's first roller coaster. So John Wardley came into play for this one as well. So Alton Towers called Intamin, another ride manufacturer who you'll hear about lots on this channel. And they would make the world's first roller coaster with a free fall drop. So the train goes through a layout that John Wardley designed, and then it comes up a lift hill and stops. And then the train just drops down on a bit of transfer track that literally drops really fast and gives you loads of airtime. And then you fly backwards into a tunnel, really dark, really cold, and back out into the brake run. So 13 was definitely a surprise at the end.
That ride was a bit timid. At least it's time now to get off. Apparently, little jolt there. Okay, let's get up. Ah! Oh! Oh! Ah!
It still could have been better after all the advertising that's got people hyped for not as much as they were expecting. After that, John Wardley created the layout for the Smiler, but after he created the layout for the Smiler, he decided to retire. But was this the end of his career? Of course it wasn't. In 2018, John Wardley got a call saying that Alton Towers were building a wooden roller coaster, and it wasn't one of John Wardley's designs. And he got a call saying that they wanted him to be part of the team, but because he'd retired to give other people a chance, he said he'd only help if every single member of the team wanted him on the team, which they did, because he's such an iconic ride creator, of course. So the layout was already created, but John Wardley helped to make improvements to it. So John Wardley added different wheels to the ride, increasing the capacity by 120 riders per hour, and he also improved the first drop, as apparently it was going to be slow and boring, that same word that he uses a lot. So, as you know, it's quite a short drop, but really snappy and fast. So, obviously, John did something really special with that first drop, as it's a great first drop for the distance it covers. And now, who knows what John Wardley could be creating. But anyway, that is the history of John Wardley. We'll see what else he can do in the future following Nemesis's closure yesterday. And for its retrack, it's not closing forever. And I'll see you next time on Airtime Studios. Goodbye, everyone!